All right. So we got a couple more people showed up, which is awesome. And we are now at 1 o'clock. So in order to kind of keep everybody's schedules and respect where everybody is right now, we're going to start the show off. Uh, One of the fun things about working from home is there will be background noise. So probably from all of us, you might see random dogs pop up or kids or random people decide to use the blender to make a smoothie. All kinds of fun stuff might be happening, but we'll try to keep that to a minimum. But yeah, so I think everybody is here. We'll go ahead and start the show off. First, I want to say thank you very much for taking time out of your busy day to come out to the TravelBoom webinar today. This is about the third webinar of the year for us, and we're planning on a couple more as well. This one is really going to be just about the AI 101. So giving you the tools that you need to really understand how AI works and how you can actually put it to work in your hotel operations and marketing. So much conversation about AI has been at a very ethereal high level that talks about where it could be going in years, the things that it might be able to do. But what we found was that there's not a lot of people talking about exactly what you can do right now to save time in your marketing and your operations. So what we thought would be fun to do was actually go through a scenario. In this case, we're going to pretend that we're opening up a hotel resort in the Grand Canyon, and we're going to use AI to make that job a lot easier. So to start with, let's go ahead and talk about who we are. We are TravelBoom, and we're here to help. So basically what we are is a digital agency that's dedicated to helping independent hoteliers, property managers, and vacation rental companies succeed online. Everything from the strategic side to make your business thrive, to the website development, SEO, pay-per-click, meta search, social, email, you name it. We handle all that stuff for you. And our goal is to be your marketing arm to help you do everything that you want to do with your property so you can focus on operations and the big picture stuff. And what we do is roll our sleeves up and take care of everything else. So that's who we are and kind of where we're coming from. We've been using AI for years and years, and we thought we might be able to share some of that with you. Speaking of that, who's going to be sharing the data with us? It's going to be myself, Pete DeMeo. We have Alyssa Friska, Jeremy Razuk, and Christy Collins joining us, all part of the team and all who work day in and day out to help hoteliers just like yourselves succeed online. Excuse me. So start off by talking about where we are in the world of AI. I'm going to be constantly clearing my throat because I just got back from high tech, which I bet a lot of you joining us on the webinar today also did. And the whole talk of high tech, which is probably not surprising, was AI. And one of the speakers said something I thought was really profound. And in terms of AI, we're at the age of the eager intern. And when you think of an intern, it's somebody who is excited to get to work. They're going to be there 24/7. You're going to give them a task and they're going to run out and do the best job they can at it. But just like with an intern, you don't take what they say and immediately present it to your C-suite. You're going to double check it. You're going to vet the sources to make sure it's correct. And that is so important with AI because AI will very confidently give you an answer that may not be anywhere near correct. So what we're going to be talking about today is ways that you can overcome that. You can use AI and get to the point where you can trust the data. You're able to vet the data to make sure it's accurate, and then ultimately save a ton of time, which is most important. So in today's example of the resort that we're going to be building in the Grand Canyon, we're going to be talking about how we can expedite the market research. We're going to be talking about how we can summarize the data, talk about ideation of content, the development of the content, and then lastly, the development of the visual elements that go into making that content piece work so well. Now, each of these are going to be actually pre-recorded. So we're going to be bouncing from the live version to the recorded version. And the reason we did that is because AI is always changing. We are really on the cusp of amazing things with AI. Part of that means sometimes it doesn't work the way we expect. Sometimes there's new features, and sometimes there's features that we're going to talk about that disappear. So you'll notice that we're like live right now. As we go through each example, we're going to switch over to the recorded version. You may not even notice it, but just know that that is in fact the case. So we're going to be mainly talking about using large language models or LLMs and generative content. There are a ton of phenomenal platforms that utilize AI to make your life easier, specifically in the hotel space. Duetto for revenue management, Ideas, Revenate on your CDP side, Oracle has a ton, and several others. What we're really going to be talking about is the ones you might expect. Gemini, Meta AI by Facebook, Dolly, ChatGPT, Copilot, Grok, and a lot of other platforms like that. But that is not to say these other platforms that I have in gray here are not important. They're incredibly important, but what we want to do is start on the ground level so you can immediately start using platforms. On future webinars, we're going to dive into some of them. But one I did want to highlight was Levy. And this one is incredibly cool. This is a startup that is just out of the gate. And to me, it really exemplifies where AI is going to be going and how it's going to become a loyal companion to you and your team. So the way Levy works is you train the AI on your brand standards and what an ideal room should look like. That way, when your inspection team or housekeepers come into a room, they complete the room turnover, and then they're going to take their phone or their device and they simply scan the room. And what that's going to show is anything that does not adhere to what was shown to the AI or adhere to your brand standards. So in the case like we have right here, they found 2 cups in the bar area and it should be 3. So immediately the AI says, uh-oh, you got a problem. You're supposed to have a glass where this little red square is, and you don't. The cool thing is that means from a training perspective, you don't have to follow around and train and retrain your housekeeping staff on your brand standards. It's all done by the AI, and you can let the AI, excuse me, do the hard work of making sure that your housekeeping staff and your inspection team are really doing what they're supposed to be doing. This to me is huge. We're actually talking to them from the agency perspective next week. I'm really excited to learn about what they're doing. I'm not necessarily recommending Levy. We've not worked with them firsthand, but I love where they're going with this. And to me, this is groundbreaking because it does show you where AI is going to be. Now, we said we weren't going to necessarily talk about where AI is going. We said we weren't talking about what AI can actually do for you today. And that's why what I'm going to do now is actually turn it over to Christy, and she's going to walk us through that initial process of market research as we start to plan for this amazing hotel that's going to be at the Grand Canyon. So, Christy, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Pete. It can be overwhelming to figure out what marketing channels work best for your business and what will gain the best results. Market research can help hotels develop customized strategies for their market, helping with strategic marketing and operational decisions. For example, market research can help hotels understand what marketing channels will best reach their target market and what kind of content their audiences will respond to. AI-powered tools can revolutionize market research for new hotel development. Using AI can help your business efficiently analyze information from various sources, such as social media, competitor websites, and industry reports. AI algorithms help identify trends, customer preferences, and forecast demand, allowing you to make more informed decisions for your business. Some great research examples include economic outlook, top keywords, top competitors, and competitors' weaknesses. Next, I'm going to use some of these and show you how I used AI to begin my market research for a new property.
Perfect. Thank you. And I'm going to start the video in just a second. I did forget to mention one thing is down at the bottom of the Zoom webinar is a place for Q&A. Drop any questions you have in there or comments or ideas that you want to share. And at the end of the webinar, we'll dive into all of those. But Christy, we'll go ahead and start your example right now.
I know what the major competitors for insight into opening a hotel near the Grand Canyon. I am anticipating that my property will be a competitor of the Grand Hotel at the Grand Canyon, so I'm going to base some of my research off of that property for this example. I'll be using Gemini, which is Google's AI chat, and to save time, I have already asked Gemini my questions. Normally, you would start Gemini with a new chat. I began my question thread by asking about the economic outlook for the Grand Canyon. Gemini came back with some positive aspects, potential challenges, an overview, and some additional resources. So now that I have the economic outlook, I would like to know what the major competitors for the Grand Hotel at the Grand Canyon are based on that information. So first, Gemini gives me a little more information about the Grand Hotel, some direct competitors in the same area, some other competitors that are a little bit farther away, and then some competitors that may not necessarily be in my category, but it's just good to know. It also gives me some information on what makes the Grand Hotel stand out from these other properties. So that brings me to amenities. I would like to know what amenities the Grand Hotel has that other hotels do not. So Gemini gives me a list of the Grand Hotel's unique amenities that you can only find there. Some other notable amenities. So these are found at some other locations, but not all other locations. So a super important piece of market research is looking up the negative reviews for hotels near you so you know what not to do. So Gemini is going to give me a list of common complaints, and these are negative reviews that it has found in the other properties nearby, and then some specific complaints that were just at the Grand Hotel. It gives you a couple of resources so that you can double check, which is always great to do with AI. It's super smart and it's come a long way and it continues to get smarter every day, but you always want to double check behind it just to verify that the information is accurate. So now that I have that information, I have asked Gemini to put this information into a chart or table. So this is super helpful, but I'm going to get Gemini to take it a step further and save me a bunch of time. And I'm going to ask Gemini to export it to a sheet for me. So Gemini is going to dump it right here in this Google Sheet. And then we have our assistant over here where we can see a summary of the content, and then it'll actually teach you how to format your sheet differently, and it will help you create formulas so that you can customize this how you'd like it to look. And knowing that Gemini can do all that, I have decided that I think I'd like the amenities information saved. So since Gemini saves your chats, which is very helpful, it already knows when I ask for it to put the amenity information into a chart that I'm still talking about that same information that we went over earlier. So it puts it in this chart for me, and I'm going to export this to a sheet as well. So again, it just dumps it right in here. And we have our Gemini assistant if we'd like to make any changes to it. Making the changes might take a little bit of time, but in comparison to the amount of time you save by using one website rather than multiple websites and having to build out 2 sheets, I mean, you can't beat it. And that gets us set up to move on to our next step. Okay, so now that we've covered some market research, I'm going to pass you guys over to Jeremy, and he's going to walk you through using AI for content ideation.
Thanks, Christy. So within this section, what we'll look at is we'll dive into how large language models, such as Gemini specifically for this example, can help eliminate the guesswork from topic research by leveraging AI to quickly identify article topics for website content and questions that could attract more visitors to your hotel's website. But before we get into just how it works and the prompts to use in terms of content ideation and topic research, I think we should at least look at the context and take a look at why content is important for hotels and the challenges of content topic research. So why does content matter for a hotel website, or any website really? Content marketing drives organic traffic, it builds brand authority, and it engages potential guests. So having high quality articles on your website helps guests plan their trips, learn about your local area, and helps them to see the value that your hotel has to offer. So if you're writing high quality and optimized content, the better your chances of ranking well for your target keywords in search that are important to your business. And when you're ranking well for those keywords that are important to you, by doing so, you essentially become a touch point in the vacation planning process for those guests. But the challenges with topic research, like many things, is that it's time consuming. It can take a long time just to get to a starting point of a list of topics that makes sense for your property or what you're trying to write about. And then, of course, it's also can be difficult just continuously having to come up with new ideas, fresh, relevant ideas, just because sometimes the creative wheels aren't always spinning. And so this is using something like a Gemini or any type of LLM is going to help you get those creative wheels spinning again. And honestly, just take that almost all that guesswork out, like I mentioned. You're going to have a potentially a nice list of topics that really won't require too much work on your part. So how exactly do we make it easier on ourselves? So we do that by using a large language model as an ally in terms of our marketing. So what is a large language model? It's a large language model such as Gemini or ChatGPT or Copilot. They're designed for understanding and generating text. They can help you with writing and coding as well as analysis, like Christy just discussed, and a lot more than that as well. So, but what makes a large language model such as Gemini a good option for content ideation? Well, they have access to a vast knowledge base. They have access to an immense amount of information from across the web, from things like articles and reviews and trends. They use natural language processing, which helps these LLMs understand complex queries and nuances in human language so that they can provide better responses to your questions or prompts or queries. And then lastly, they're just very good at creating content or content generation in general, which I know in our next section, I'll just tease it that Alyssa is going to have a lot to say about that. But an LLM can really help you brainstorm ideas and even draft outlines based on the information it has access to and based on the prompts that you provide. So let's look at content ideation within Gemini specifically in action. So if we stick with our hotel near the Grand Canyon, we have a new hotel that we're building or is already built. And we have a new website that we need to help promote the hotel. We need to beef up the website's content. We don't have any content on the website, and we need to get a new flow of organic traffic coming in. So how do we start? Well, we start with a simple prompt. So something just as simple as, can you suggest some article topics for my blog about things to do near the Grand Canyon? So we plug this into Gemini, and in this example, you can see my prompt as well as the answer that Gemini provides, which includes a good bit of ideas that I can work off of and is a really great starting point in terms of the topics that we can use. And in fact, it actually broke down my article topics that I was looking for by topic. So it provided sections for dining, for experiences, for planning, and for travel themes. So maybe you're looking to target a specific traveler, for nature lovers or history buffs or so forth. So this is a fantastic starting point. It's very surface level, things to do near Grand Canyon that I can start writing about for my website. But let's say that we want to use our market research like Christy went over, or any type of audience analysis, and we want to get a little more granular with our article topics. So in our example, what we want to do is that we want to target more people that are families with young children. So essentially what we can do is we literally just take that same prompt and use that context of, we want to write article or have some article topics about things to do near the Grand Canyon, but we want it to be family friendly with families that are traveling with young kids. And so when we do that, we get a ton of options for new article topics that could potentially be really useful for our new website if we're looking to build out that content. But before you move on, the key is that when you do get this list of topics, you always want to do your keyword research just to see which topics you should be prioritizing based on the search volume and the competition and so forth. But this content ideation, it shouldn't just be, or it doesn't just apply to written website content. So it's not just something that applies to just a blog on your website. This is something that even if you aren't preparing to write a piece of content, or you're just not in the blog game yet, or article writing or content game yet, but you are in the newsletter game or social media posts or videos. I mean, this is something that you could use for, many different channels, and even take it in a holistic approach where if you did use this and you wrote a piece of content, and you took that and you used it on your newsletter and your social media posts and your videos, this is something that you can use across all channels, and as long as it's relevant and fresh, that are going to be ideal for your audience, and it's something that you should absolutely be thinking about and using across those channels. So now that we have our topic research in place and we have our keyword research in place, next comes the actual outlining of that content to make it 10 times better than your competitors. And for that, I'm going to hand that over to Alyssa.
Thanks, Jeremy. So now that we have some ideas for content, we're ready to write it. We know that collecting accurate and helpful information is a tedious task. And if you're not putting out that high quality content, you're not going to outrank the competition. So what is the solution? AI can help streamline content creation by quickly gathering relevant information, reducing that time spent on research. So it's going to cut the time it takes you to create content in half and then some. And AI is already shaping the way we create content today. It's just going to continue enabling marketers to be more efficient in the future. So looking more closely at ways hoteliers can take advantage of AI to create content in day-to-day tasks, I wanted to provide a handful of examples from operational documentation through to long-form blog content that Jeremy just mentioned that participants can put into action immediately. Getting started with written content creation for operational documentation. Operational efficiency in a hotel is crucial for ensuring a seamless guest experience, maximizing profitability, and maintaining a competitive edge in the hospitality industry. Many key processes that directly impact guest satisfaction, such as check-in and check-out, housekeeping, and maintenance, require thorough documentation. If you're an independent property, you may need to create your own guidelines. We'll utilize housekeeping for the purpose of this example. As one of the most mentioned topics in hotel reviews, cleanliness is imperative for success. Let's ask ChatGPT to create a comprehensive hotel room cleaning checklist that we can share with our staff. From preparation to final inspection, we're met with an organized list that is easy to follow. Any hotelier can utilize AI to create new or revamp outdated documentation that is critical to success. Focusing next on social media and beyond. Social media can become a major chore for independent hoteliers, especially if they're wearing many hats. We've already talked about how AI can generate ideas, but it can also be used to create your content calendar or your posts. For this example, we'll ask ChatGPT to create 3 social media posts about fun things to do in the Grand Canyon. The posts include copy as well as relevant emojis and hashtags. The voice is informal and light, which works well for social media. While these are a great starting point, I would suggest taking this a step further and looking for ways to tie in a call to action. Let's make ChatGPT do the work for us. I'm going to ask for some of the best calls to action, specifically for social media. While this is a good answer, let's ask it to organize it by goal. You can see that the answer is now categorized by your specific goal. You can use this to your advantage and tailor the original posts to fit your brand. Once you have content created, you can schedule posts directly through each platform or through social media management software. Separately, you can replicate this process in order to create or rewrite copy blurbs for both marketing and transactional emails, as well as on-page copy. This includes coming up with unique and compelling calls to action that align with your specific goals. Remember that you have the option to regenerate your response if you're unhappy with it, or continue to utilize the messenger for more information. You can also specify a character limit, tone of voice, or the format you wish to see the copy in. Moving on to article creation. Long-form blog content is a fundamental tactic in any organic search strategy. It can also be one of the most tedious responsibilities due to research, length, quality, optimization, and more. AI affords everyone the opportunity to create long-form content, improving the overall user experience. Let's walk through an example. Assuming that initial keyword research has been completed and I have a target keyword, I've asked ChatGPT to create an article outline about things to do with kids near the Grand Canyon. If I'm happy with the response, I'll move this outline into a Google Doc for further development. From here, I can create a prompt for a copywriter or forge ahead with AI. Now using the Gemini add-on, I can flesh out my article, include key pieces of information, and more. Here I've asked for a brief paragraph about things to do with kids near the Grand Canyon that I can utilize for my intro. If it's too long, I can continue to refine it, shorten it, elaborate on it, or change the tone. Let's shorten this. You can continue to tweak this until it meets your needs. Remember to fact check all of your information that is provided by AI. Once my article is complete, within a fraction of the time it would have taken me to manually create this information and write this content, I'm met with a comprehensive long-form blog article rooted in data. Getting started. All right, those are just a few examples of ways you can use AI to create content. Pete's going to go ahead and expand upon my long-form blog article example by helping us create the perfect image with AI.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm excited about this one because it's definitely something new in the AI world, and it's full of a lot of excitement, but there's also some pitfalls and some pretty funny images that you can see when you're developing content. One thing that, as we're kind of like leading through this example of the resort at the Grand Canyon, I think Jeremy said it really well, where AI is an ally in your content development. And also, just like Alyssa said as well, the idea is that you're using AI to jumpstart this process and make it more efficient. But please don't think that pressing create article is going to give you an amazing piece of content, either for your consumers or from a search perspective. It really does require that human touch. And I think everyone needs to make sure they remember that and don't forget that AI is not here to replace us. It's here to make our jobs way, way more efficient. But we're still the ones that actually have the brains on our shoulders that can get stuff done. So let's talk a little bit about creating the image that's associated with the content that we just created. So this is, like I said, the cutting edge of where AI is in terms of images, videos, music, and so on. In many cases, though, when you're developing graphics, you can't necessarily just use one AI tool. So what I'm about to show you here is we're using Gemini to build out the idea. We're using Meta AI to create the graphics. And then we're using one platform that I think a lot of people have that do not realize is so full of amazing AI tools that they can use, and that's Photoshop. The latest version, particularly the latest beta version of Photoshop, gives us so much to work for. And somehow I stopped working. There we go. So one thing I say is that if you do have Photoshop, make sure you have the latest version downloaded to experience, and we'll go from there. So let's go ahead and dive into this example. Okay, so now is actually time to go through the process and use AI or a variety of AI tools to create a perfect image. Building on Christy's example of a resort that we're working on that's going to be in the Grand Canyon, we wanted to find a piece of content, pretend that that was an article that was written for the site, and then create the graphic that needs to go along with it. Now, I'll go ahead and say this about AI generated images. One, you have to be careful because this is the one area of AI with images, with video, and with music that is constantly changing. So every time you play with these tools, understand that they're going to be a little bit different. They're going to get a little bit better, and better. The other thing to consider as well is where it makes sense to use this is not in the marquee image for the shot, but something that's like an inset image that's not going to be so mission critical to your branding or what you're looking to create just yet. AI is getting better every day, and this is one place that is absolutely going to see a lot of improvement. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I went ahead and found this random blog, Zest in a Tote, which is actually a really good article, by the way. And I'm going to pretend this is our one. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to jump over to Gemini. And I actually already did this just to make the process a little bit faster. But I said, create an image that will represent the article at Zest in a Tote, blah, blah, blah. Gemini comes back and says, I can't generate images from the web. Try asking me to generate images of something else. So again, you could either go to another AI platform, either ChatGPT, Copilot, or others, and ask that same question. Or what I did in this case was simply say, please describe what an image will look like that represents this article. It came back with an image that represents this article be a family looking at the Grand Canyon from the rim. The canyon should be the focal point with vast depth of the canyon. The family could be standing on a paved path with bikes nearby. Okay, that sounds great. Let's go ahead and use that. So I copy that. I know Jim and I can't do this. So now I'm going to jump over to Meta AI. And I already had them take care of this for me, because what I did is I pasted this description in, and I realized that I couldn't find the image that I was looking for. So I saw one image, not a big fan, another image. This is a little bit closer, but that doesn't look very realistic. I had them generate it, and then I actually had them generate it again until I found an image that would probably work for what I'm looking to do. So this is perfect. This is what I need. However, in my example, I need to have an image that's going to be very wide and not a square. There are some platforms, Copilot as an example does have a tool that lets you make landscape images, which is nice. But since I found the image that I want in Meta, I'm going to just copy this image. And then I'm going to go over to another tool, which you may not realize has as much AI packed in that it does. And that is Photoshop. Particularly the latest beta version of Photoshop is something that is incredibly powerful and shocking how much time it will save you with your image editing. So I have my canvas, and I'm going to simply paste in the image that I'm working on. And now I need to fix two problems. I'm going to use AI for both of these. The first one is I have a watermark here, which I do not want. And I need to make the image about 2,000 pixels wide to fit my need, which is going to be, say, at the bottom of the article. So the first thing we'll do is let's go ahead and fix this watermark. Again, it makes it very easy. I just simply select the marquee tool. I'm going to select where the watermark is. And when I select that, it pops up with generative fill right here. All you have to do is type in what you want it to do. So please remove this watermark and hit enter. I use the word please and thank you for AI because it's always nice to know that they like that you're polite. In case they do decide to rise up against us, I'll be one of the cool guys. So as this is working its way and I'm being polite to AI, when it is done, boom, the watermark is completely gone. Now it did create as a layer, so I could always remove it if I wanted to, but that looks perfect, right what I'm looking for. Couldn't be more happy. If I wanted to, I could actually scroll through a couple of different options to find the one that really was perfect for my needs. And in this case, let's actually just use this one here for the example. Now I need to make it a lot larger. Again, AI to the rescue. I'm going to use my crop tool, and I'm simply going to drag the tool to the size I need. So let's do right at 2,000 pixels. Get back here. And instead of entering anything, I'm simply going to hit generate. AI goes to work. It looks at the image. It looks at the colors, the subject, and everything like that. And then it uses generative fill to put in what is supposed to be there. And boom, it appears right there. This is exactly what I need, and I couldn't be happier. So file, I'm going to hit save this to my workspace, and then I can jump back over to, let's say this was my blog, and I could replace any of the pictures on here that I wanted to with this AI generated picture. Again, it's a great tool to use. There's a lot of different ways you can go about doing it, but like we talked about at the very beginning, AI is in the eager intern stage. It will get something done for you. It is your job to look it over carefully and make sure it's getting done the right way. So that's how you can create images very easily. All right. So that was the way we kind of build out the images that are associated with the articles. This is all like an ideal solution where we have Christy do some market research, Jeremy does some idea generation, Alyssa builds out the content, and we build out the graphics. And the fun thing is we did all of this within the matter of 30 minutes, which could have taken days. One of the nice things about the image side is not only the time it saves, but the money. So if I were to go out and buy a small inset image from a stock site, say Getty, I could be spending tens, hundreds of dollars, if not more, on that graphic, not to mention having to cull through all those images to find them. With an image generation platform for a smaller image, it makes it where I can have an image within a matter of minutes and I can move on with my day. So I think image generation is a great tool, and there's so much more to come from that place. So that's kind of where we are. Hopefully this was helpful, kind of give you a couple tips of how you can specifically use AI, generative AI specifically, in your hotel operations and marketing. But kind of to build on that a little bit too, we talked about a couple platforms. We talked about Copilot, we talked about Gemini. With both Gemini, ChatGPT, and other ones, there's a free version and a paid version. Going with the paid version has a lot of benefits in terms of the ability to use it as much as you like. But as I think we saw with Christy's example and with Alyssa's example, when you have a paid version of, say, Gemini, it integrates with all of your Google products. So you don't have to jump over to gemini.google.com. You can, right from a Google Sheet, have access to all that same information, which makes your workflow very seamless and can speed up the process of content creation. This was just the 101 guide. There's a lot more. We talked about Levy and the other AI platforms out there for hotels. We're going to be diving in more into that on future webinars. But like I said, we did feel like it was smart to go ahead and start with the very basics to get everybody up to a certain level before we start diving into the deeper end of this pool. So hopefully that was very helpful for you. In addition to all of the tools we talked about AI, there's actually two pieces of research that I really would recommend. One is the 2023 Leisure Travel Trend Study, where we surveyed about 2,000 travelers and asked what they thought they needed in terms of travel and what hoteliers should be doing. You can get that at travelboommarketing.com/study. And then we have a companion study that came out earlier this year, which was the Hotelier Sentiment Study, where we asked similar questions to the hoteliers, and then we compared and contrast those answers with the leisure travelers as well. And we found some pretty cool things. So not necessarily as a spoiler, but check out both of these studies and you're going to find some really interesting information, particularly as it relates to in-room kitchens and suites, where hoteliers think that ranks among important amenities and where leisure travelers say it truly ranks to them. It's much different. I think you'll appreciate that. But with that being said, we've pretty much wrapped up the webinar. Again, we're TravelBoom. We're here to help, and we'd like to start by helping by answering any questions that you guys might have. So far, there's nothing in the chat window, but if you do have any questions down at the bottom there, you'll see the little question icon, and you can pop in there. All right, so as we're waiting for people to chat, one thing I didn't know, while we were building this webinar out, we didn't realize that, or Gemini did not have the integration with Google Sheets. And Christy, if I'm not mistaken, as you were building this out, you immediately saw it pop up no more than, I think it was yesterday, right?
Yeah, I actually tried my first video. I tried to use the Gemini Google Sheet integration and it told me it was not able to. And literally, then I tried to record again because it messed my whole video up. I went to record again and then it had the export button at the bottom. And I was like, oh, wow. Kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So like if you tried some AI tools out a month ago, a year ago, or a day ago, you really need to keep using them because they change every day. One of the big problems I'd always have was if we're generating images, you can only get a square. And about a week ago, Copilot came out where you can choose landscape images and it does that for you. So it's always changing. So I would say make sure you're at least opening your mind to what AI can do for your content generation. But all right, so that is pretty much what we have.
We have a question.
Yeah, so Maria,
You want me to go ahead and read it? It says, hi, I'm Maria from Fort. Are you reading it or am I reading it?
I know I said we'll follow it with Maria, but I'd love to hear Sonia's question.
Oh, nice. Have you not tried Dream Machine and Kling, which are now doing videos like Sora?
We haven't. In our case, we were using a platform called Loom, which we like, but I think there's a lot of video platforms out there that I'm going to try out both of those and see how those work out. But yeah, I guess Sonia, if you want to kind of expand on that, are you using that for your recording videos, or is that part of the AI tools for video? Oh, for generating video. No, I haven't. I will absolutely check those out. So that's pretty cool. Sonia said that those are generated videos.
Yeah, I was just looking into it a little bit. We don't necessarily create this type of content typically on our end. but I think that would be a cool tool to explore and integrate into the Beyond 101 for our next webinar.
Perfect. Let's see. I don't see any other questions yet. I just want to say thank you guys so much. I know it was we're going on about 45 minutes now. Everybody's got very busy schedules, and I hope that what we're able to deliver to you was something that was worth way more than just 45 minutes. That's really what we want to do here at TravelBoom is be educators and be the people who are helping to make everybody a better hotelier. So with that being said, we don't have any more questions. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up the webinar. Well, thank you guys so much, and stay tuned. We're going to send out an email right after this with a link to the webinar that you can enjoy, share, and do whatever you like. And stay tuned for emails and more info on our socials about the latest webinars and content coming up from TravelBoom. Thank you so much.